Hey everyone, it's Rob Stanley with the FeedbackWhiz podcast. And today my guest is Carlos Alvarez. He's founder of Bluebird Media, and he's also the founder of the largest Amazon meetup group in Florida called Wizards of Amazon. Carlos, thanks for being on the show.
What's up, man? Glad to be here.
Yeah, so Carlos and I actually met several months ago in San Francisco right before the lockdown. And I was like, I got to get Carlos on. I watched his presentation. And it was just an awesome presentation. And there's some great stuff. And we're going to go over some of it. But one of the things we want to concentrate on today is a lot of people or a lot of sellers keep talking about how do I get traffic to Amazon, to my products on Amazon, but using not Amazon, like not using pay-per-click, not using, the different ways that you could basically advertise on Amazon. How do you kind of advertise off Amazon? And Carlos had some really interesting ones that I was throwing at him. I was going, hey, Carlos, what about social media? He goes, oh no, everybody does that. I've got some things that are completely different than that. So Carlos, start us off with what are some of the things you're using to drive traffic to your products on Amazon or helping other people do that?
Absolutely. And it was a pleasure meeting you two in San Fran right before all of this exploded on us and we all had to scurry home. Also, I am a fan of these other methods that exist, like the social media, the obvious ones. I have nothing against them. I want to bring everything to bear for the success of the business. But I have found greater success using not so obvious ways to do it. Kind of like when everybody's zigging, you zag.
Yeah, those are the tips everybody wants to hear, right? I mean, we've had people on the show that talk about social media and stuff. We're not saying they're not effective, but there's people out there doing things that are not the norm, right? Everybody gets on Facebook, does Facebook ads or promotions, giveaways, that type of thing. Tell us some of the things you're doing that are not kind of those norm, kind of thinking outside the box.
Yeah, well, one of the main ones would be I've been spending the last year and a half really focusing on Alexa. Alexa voice technology, specifically flash briefings. I do have some custom skills in the works, but using Alexa flash briefings and the way my logic behind it was they're Amazon shoppers, so they already have their card loaded on Amazon. And if you have an Alexa device, you can just make purchases with your connected Amazon account. So the majority of the friction was gone. I had an initial concern of, even for myself, like how often would I shop via voice? And yes, it was very slow in the beginning. That's rapidly changing. And my bet, if you will, is that, this time next year, it's a not so abnormal thought. Like people just would be a lot more commonplace. And the year after that, we could be seeing some really radical changes on how people search and purchase online via voice. Specifically, though, how I'm using this for on Amazon, I'm having great success actually getting product reviews using Alexa flash briefings, as well as promoting Alexa flash briefings on social media and other locations to get them there and then speak about my product.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, I would not have thought of that. I mean, we know Alexa's a thing, right? Everybody's got them. There's tons of them in everybody's houses, but utilizing them to not just drive reviews, but drive sales also is pretty amazing. You mentioned a couple others, and I unfortunately didn't write them down because I wanted to make sure we kind of just went into them. What were a couple of the other tips you had for kind of driving more traffic?
Another one, and this one coupled with email has to be the central nervous system of everything that I do in launching products and scaling them. And that's trivia, quizzes, polls, and contests. There's a lot of great tools out there. I'm not affiliated with any of them. I predominantly use one called WooBox, WOOBox.com. Just seems like the more robust one that's out there. But I use WooBox, I use King Sumo, I use Viral Loops, and a lot of them out there for different reasons. There's one actually called Gleam.io that seems to be very Amazon specific. Still, I prefer WooBox. And the way I use that is that's really my solution for cold audience. So I am a Star Wars geek, and it doesn't matter how busy my day is. if something pops up on my Facebook feed with, what color lightsaber would you have if you were a Jedi? I'm done. I'm in. Like, however long this thing is, I want it to be red. I want to be a Sith at the end of this, and I want to share it with my other Star Wars friends on Facebook. And that's the power of it. It's obviously from the marketing side pixeled. So I'm obviously able to retarget. And I'm able to retarget also based on whether someone just clicked on it and opened it, or somebody clicked on it and went through it. So I really know anybody that goes through 10 questions and gets them right, even because I can score that on the back end to figure out what color lightsaber they'd have as a Jedi. This is somebody that's very invested in the product. And it allows me to further send Facebook ads or different types of trivia, quizzes, polls, and contests to them. So it doesn't require the user to input any email address. They don't feel like they're exchanging anything, and that it's just a win for them. It's a little micro commitment that they just take it. Once they've taken it, I'll then get into more of like a segmenting technique, which is putting a poll or a quiz in front of them. Depending on my product, say that I was selling a product that was, think of a hard one I've done. Let's say hyperhidrosis. So like, can you think of a more challenging, that's even extremely challenging to target on Google and Facebook. So let's say I have a product that addresses hyperhidrosis or excessive sweating, and I sent a fun little, what color is your lightsaber to them, and they took it. If my product addresses severe hyperhidrosis, if I just start retargeting people with, not so severe or very minor, or maybe they have it and they don't realize they have it.
Oh yeah.
If I just start sending this severe product to them, it's not going to be a good fit. And I'm just going to waste a lot of ad spend. So sending something that's a piece of trivia a quiz that would allow them to take this quiz and based on the answers, segment them to discover whether they're the right person. That it has been a huge help. Because again, with our products, coffee, for example, everyone thinks it's just super easy to go out to social media. I have a coffee product. Let's target coffee. They want to target their ceramic burr coffee grinder. What if the majority of those people are instant coffee drinkers? Like they have no need for your grinder. So that's where a quiz would come in, because it would allow you to identify and segment who are those people. And then finally, the last part of that would be the actual contest. What's been effective for me there is a likes to win campaign. So the example I give, a little baby sitting on an opened bag of coffee beans, and funniest caption wins. So that at that stage, and only at that stage, will I ask somebody to give their email address, and then that's where we get into the good stuff with email marketing. But so that I just bunched that into one, calling it trivia, quizzes, polls, and contests. That's been a huge one for me. Another one, I can't tell you how amazing this tool has been to me. I did an entire podcast episode on it, and some people in my group have actually begun using it. It's super powerful. It's Slick Text. So it's SMS marketing. What I have launched products before just by going to farmers markets and say cooking this product, or maybe it doesn't matter what I'm selling. I'll always have a whole bunch of coffee for free because people are attracted to the smell. They come to the farmer's market booth, and that allows me to have conversation over coffee. Like conversation. Oh, that's somebody I follow actually has a podcast, Conversations Over Coffee. But it allows us to have that conversation where I can talk about their product. Now, if they taste my product and they liked it, or they tried it right there and they liked it, giving them my card for them to leave and then use it as a toothpick or fall between, the car seats or whatever the case may be, it's not effective. We all know it.
Yeah.
It's also not realistic to sit there and start grabbing their number and inputting it into your phone, just because there's so many different people at the booth. So that's where Slick Tech comes in. So one that anybody that wanted to could listen, could even try out if you wanted, that was listening to this, is if you text the word Amazon to 69922. Now, the only thing that's going to do, there's nothing for sale there. It's just going to show you the link to our Amazon seller meetup group. I think I might have added something on there that shows my podcast, but I use that all the time. I use it when I'm out speaking about a product. I use it if I'm exhibiting at a show. I use it when I'm in line at Starbucks. I use it I just used it now. So say I wanted to get on some industry specific trade shows, that's been a really powerful tool for me. And once you text that, I can do a bunch of different things. I can request your email. It connects to my CRM. It connects to my email market. It does everything.
Yeah.
So it's an easy entryway for people to get into my system, hook them up onto subscribe and save, send them a promo code. The tool has a promo code rotator. So I can just load a bunch of promo codes on there, like one-time use, and this tool will automatically disperse them and roll them out. So very convenient to use. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, no, keep going. I mean, trust me, people come on the show to listen to the guests we have. They don't want to listen to me. So I'm just here to ask the questions and keep it going.
I want to get you on my
that's
show
great.
and talk. I want to get you on my show and talk about YouTube. So
yeah, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Hey, actually, I do have a question. So if you don't mind sharing, what are you using for email marketing? I mean, I'm sure it's like a whole lot of stuff together to make it happen. But what is kind of the core? Are you using, Constant Contact?
No, my core is really just one thing, is Active Campaign. It hasn't always been that. Okay. I think I began where most people began, and it was like MailChimp.
Yep.
And then MailChimp's a great tool. However, it's built for a purpose. And there's my business, which is physical products, e-commerce, and services now. It couldn't handle it. It wasn't robust enough. So yeah. I dabbled with ConvertKit, which I had a really good experience with, but I started finding it limiting. And then I was torn between Active Campaign and Klaviyo. I think they're both amazing tools. My only reason I chose Active Campaign was that I didn't really feel that Klaviyo excelled past Active Campaign until you started building a massive catalog of products. So if you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of SKUs on your website, I feel like Klaviyo takes the lead over Active Campaign, but that's not the business model that I want to be involved in. So sure. Active Campaign is an extremely robust, if it can be done, Active Campaign does it. And it also doubles as a very effective CRM.
Nice. No, that's good to know. And I'm sure people would want to know that. So what about utilizing, say, warranty cards or insert cards? Do you do any of that?
Again, that's something that I do. I've not had a great deal of, wins from that.
Yeah.
And it's very dependent on in my experience, it's been very dependent on the cost of the product and the circumstances of the product. So I don't believe anybody's ever submitted a warranty for a garlic press. But if I buy a TV, I'm going to do that. Now, the other part that I guess I have issue with warranties, and I don't do this, and no judgment for anyone that does, is I don't feel that if somebody gives your email address for a warranty, that it gives you license to now email market them. I find it very distasteful when it happens to me, and it doesn't move the needle for me if I can't do that. And then on the other hand, something really effective would be like a ManyChat QR code, which I toyed with for a while. It had a better effect than the other things we've mentioned so far, but I'm very unclear as to where I think that falls on Amazon's terms of service.
Yes.
I think that gets and I'm almost white hat to a fault.
Yeah.
So if it's even in a gray area, or my little spidey sense tells me something, I don't want anything to do with it. So I really don't feel comfortable with that.
Yep. I agree with you. I had Chris McCabe on, and Chris and I were talking about,
good guy.
He's a great guy and he knows his stuff. And let me tell you, he went specifically into like using warranty cards or a warranty link or things like that. Right. And it's not that you can't do it. The question that what people fall into is they want to use that as a marketing instead of a warranty. If you strictly send them to a page that's dedicated as a warranty only information, and you're not basically trying to get them to leave a product review or trying to upsell them on something else, that you can do. That doesn't violate terms of service to get them to basically sign up and get the warranty and extend it. So you got to just be really careful. There's a lot, and the reason I asked is there's a lot of people right now talking on a lot of the different Facebook groups about, insert cards and warranty cards and what can you put on them and what can't you. And as of the time we're doing this, it is pretty detailed. If you're going to do a warranty card, just do the warranty. If you're doing a QR code, just make sure it leads to a warranty page only. don't try marketing them with it, you know, or trying to get them to leave a product review. So
I agree 100%. I actually, I don't know if it can be shown. It's not my product. Somebody actually, you know her actually, Galena.
yeah.
Galena Parker got me as a gift. And this is a perfect example. It's I don't even think it says the brand name, but if you see on the bottom right there,
Oh, he's showing a QR code for those that are listening.
It shows a tiny QR code. It shows a text the word to this, and it has a website. Now, if this was an Amazon product, I feel like there's a lot of terms of service issues that you should stay away with. But
yeah,
on the Shopify side, or now Shopify is synonymous with website, but on your website off Amazon side, then yeah, that can be extremely effective. I still use some kind of combination of that for a free. This is something I'm testing. Like I'll use that to bring in the Alexa flash briefing, or I'll use that to create like a 3-part video series. Like say I was selling a coffee product and I figure that, you know, everyone wants to know how to create that little heart with the foam. Yeah. And here's a 3-part video series on how to create this heart with the foam to surprise your special, you know, your special somebody on that, whatever. So I'm not asking for a review. I'm not taking them anywhere. So I've experimented with that, but we're in 100% in agreement on that. Like don't market to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you brought up a good point. Speaking of Shopify or your own site, right? I mean, people that are building up a brand to sell on Amazon or already had started a brand on Amazon. I mean, don't you think that it's essential that they have a Shopify store or a regular website store with their branding and everything? Because the reality is, I buy something on Amazon, I look at the product name. If I like it or I want to see what else, I'm going to go Google it. And most of the time, if you have a website or a domain name that has your product name as the domain name, you're going to usually show it first. Yep. And then they can go to your site, look at what else you have, and basically, you know, maybe order some more items. Do you kind of agree with that? I mean, is that what you do?
100%. I would say the only thing different I do there is that, and I agree with the model 100%.
Yeah.
Is that when I started building the websites for different brands that I've had, sold, currently, everything, I came from a place of no money and very little time. And the idea at that time of shipping stuff out and these one-offs was prohibitive to me. And it was also a totally different place. We didn't have this Shopify. We didn't, you know.
Yeah.
So what I did, and this has stayed really a common theme amongst all the brands, is I set up corporate websites. So I have sites, majority of my sites will not have an actual shopping cart for you to check out on. And instead, their entire focus is big box retail stores see us and make it easy for them and convince them to want to carry our products in the store and see it as a win for them. And that's how I've gotten into every big box retail store that's applicable to my brands. Lately, though, I'm also looking at it as and I was a little incorrect. I could have added a shopping cart as well. It would not have detracted from the relationship. But I thought if they see a shopping cart, they're going to think they're in direct competition with me and they won't want to buy. That's what I thought. Now we're going through, that's actually a priority this year in adding, you know, shopping carts and other components to the website that we didn't have before. But I think it's critical to represent your brand with a website, your, you know, domain name website. Otherwise, somebody else is doing it because the next people that come up in Google on that search are going to be somebody else.
Absolutely. If you're creating a brand that, let's say, has a story, or let's say it's somehow related to, you know, a cause, you want to have a site where you could go and explain more about that cause or the history of how that brand came up and what it does. You know, like, what is it? Like Tom's shoes, right? Like you buy a pair, they give away a pair, that type of thing. They talk about which, you know, where they're having manufactured, how they're employing all these people in other countries. You know, if you've got a lot of history around that brand, or you're doing something very special with it, I think that a brand website is essential, but I think it's also essential just to have one, period. Now, what Carlos and I are talking about is also, you know, do this after you maybe got it going. If you got one product, you're getting it up on Amazon, you're just getting going, you probably don't need to run out quite yet. Make sure you kind of have made the brand semi-successful before you go run out and create a website for it. You want to get the kind of essential part of getting selling on Amazon going first before you go creating the whole brand and a website with it.
Right.
So,
the main goal, the business, it needs to make money.
absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah. And I mean, we got plenty of shows on the podcast that talk about, how to get up and running on Amazon. I wanted Carlos specifically on here about talking about for the people who already are on Amazon, selling on Amazon, looking for other ways to drive that traffic externally. I love the idea with the whole text messaging, the text based thing. That is awesome because you could almost take that text and turn that into like almost a questionnaire, right?
Absolutely.
Depending on what you're selling, you could say, hey, thanks for buying this product. What other product would you like to see? I mean, you can go a lot of ways with that. Or you could even do the warranty through a text message.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slick Text will even let you create a landing page dedicated to an SMS code that they can put in that could be the warranty.
Wow. So it's specific. It's specific to what
specific.
text.
Yes.
That's awesome. That is really cool. And that actually is something I've heard about, but I've never really found somebody who was using it. So I'm glad we had you on the show for that. And one of the other things we were talking about, just to kind of also keep this going, I was talking to Carlos about, has he had any issue or any situations where he deals with a lot of sellers where they're selling on Amazon and they've run into cases where, let's say, Amazon Essentials came in and basically kind of took over the category. And how do they deal with that? How have you seen people deal with that? Like, how do they differentiate themselves from that Amazon Essential to basically keep the sales going?
Yeah. The beauty with Amazon is everything starts with it depends, like all the answers, right? So it depends on the brand and how entrenched they are in the industry, because if they obviously have a lot of other sales channels in place off of Amazon, then this might just be a small blip.
Yep.
But and I'm assuming most people listening to this show, private label sellers, I'm in the minority on wanting to sell things that I'm passionate about or like to be passionate about. So they probably, used a tool, found an inefficiency in rank or somewhere they can fit in. And so they're not very entrenched in that category anywhere else but on Amazon. And they were very product agnostic. So if that's the case, first of all, I would say, don't ignore it because it's going to affect your sales. Yeah. It's going to have a heavy impact on your sales. And the other part is you should take this into consideration when deciding that you want to launch a product. If I'm going to get into white bath towels, I feel that market is so big and so generic that is something that's got Amazon's name written all over it. And I believe they have with Amazon Basics, but I don't see them getting into some rare fiber for a much smaller niche within the bath towel space.
Yeah.
Or while they're into ketchup, they're not into turmeric and honey, whatever ketchup.
Yeah.
So I would keep that in mind. Riches are in the niches. I don't want to be going head to head with Amazon on their platform. A lot of people, I actually don't know where you stand on this, Rob, but a lot of people they're kind of pissed about this. They feel completely betrayed. I'm not. If I was Amazon, my products would be the top row on search. I would do it on my website. That's what I do on my website. I think that's normal. This is Amazon's platform. It shouldn't be your end all be all. Think off of Amazon.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally have ordered Amazon Essentials. So, I mean, I can't fight against it and say that it's a bad thing. I mean, I get what they're trying to do. And yeah, it's hurt categories, but I know sellers out there. I'll give you a great example of a seller I know that specifically is going against Amazon Essentials. He's selling batteries, right? Now we know Amazon, I think one of their top essential products is actually batteries. And what he ended up doing is when they got into that space, he diversified. He started, there's AAAs, there's AA's, there's 9 volts, there's all the ones everybody knows, but there's all these batteries that are in demand out there that Amazon is not selling. I mean, there's hearing aids out there and devices that require lots of batteries. And I think he's carrying like 30 different types of batteries now. So
that's what I was saying, like with the bath towel and the niche.
Yep.
That's exactly what he did. And he's going to do really, really well.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, he's killing it. He's doing great. I mean, yeah, his AAA ones maybe aren't doing all that great, right? Against the AAA or AA's of Amazon. But that brings up a question I wanted to ask you. You know, when a product takes off, how do you leverage the success of that product to kind of like find the next product? Or can you, do you try to find like a sub product or maybe something that goes with it? What have you dealt with any situations like that?
Yeah, my entire model of selling on the private label side is inch wide, mile deep versus the inch wide, mile deep, mile wide, inch deep. So yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I do. I usually have a good idea what my first 5 or 6 products are going to be before I launch that first one in the niche. But before pulling the trigger on adding a new product, I definitely look at, what the data is telling me, what's the frequently bought together. I still use, retail analytics premium. Now we have brand analytics on Seller Central. Like I look at those, those basket analysis and everything like that I factor that into the next product that I purchase. Now, how do I leverage the existing traffic? Sometimes it's very straightforward. If it's a variation and you can somehow, if it's some form of variation to the product that's already selling, then having it as a variation on that page and leveraging all the eyeballs that are already on that page, that should be a no-brainer. But if it's not, I do utilize the cross promotion feature on Amazon. I haven't found it to be that effective. I also begin using in my trivia, quizzes, polls, and contests, especially the contests or the monthly giveaways, I'll begin with doing giveaways for the hot product. And the people that I know that are getting the hot product, which I don't even need them to buy it on Amazon. I'm not even sending them to Amazon. I'm not giving them 100% off. I don't want to do any of that. But knowing that they were into this specific product, and so much so that they got involved into a contest and shared it out to a bazillion people, I know that there's a high likelihood that they're going to be into this other product. And I'll have an email automation set up to go to them. And that's really been extremely effective for me, to the point where I haven't had to explore very much more than that.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good information. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about YouTube and video marketing. Are you using any video marketing or YouTube or, and let me just define for everybody, like video marketing could even be adding a video to your product on Amazon. I mean, that's still considered video marketing. YouTube, it would be more used for like driving people to your Amazon listing or possibly to your website. Have you done any of that?
No, I'll tell you what video marketing though that we're doing and my plan for YouTube. So the first part, my plan for YouTube video ads is I'm looking for the next network event that you're going to be at, and I'm going to buy you drinks and try to keep you there all night, and I'm going to mine you for information. So that's my YouTube video ad plan as of right now. So what's the next conference you're going to be at?
It'll probably be on your podcast, it sounds like. So we'll definitely be talking about that.
Definitely. And then the video ad technique that I'm doing right now, and it's just going gangbusters, is to the exclusion of everything else, is Amazon Live Video. And that's just been absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's really good. That's good. Yeah. And then let's also talk about, I want to dive into your background because I want people to know more about you, Carlos. I mean, I got to talk to Carlos for hours in San Francisco, even though he was trying to actually host it. I just kept pulling him aside, and him and I just kept talking about stuff. And I sat right up front when he was doing his presentation / giving out a bunch of information. And tell us, Carlos, because this actually hit me, and I was just like, wow, this guy's been around a long time. And it was very clear that you've done a lot of things right. How many business have you created and sold? Let's start with that.
12, 13. I have hesitancy on the 13th one because I wasn't involved in it in the beginning, but I was involved in the end. So 13 of them, all beginning on Amazon.
Yeah, I think I'm 3. So yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And then I want you to tell the full story. You guys got to hear this full story. And I think it was your first business, right? It was the first business. Tell everybody the first business. Make sure you cover where the inventory was being held and how it all went. please, because everybody, you got to listen to this story. It's an amazing one. Carlos, take it away.
Sure, man. I was holding down a bunch of jobs, Publix, delivering subs, selling cigars. I was working a lot of odd jobs, all because I had this expensive ex-girlfriend and I was just trying to get her anything. I was in a really low, lame point of my life. And that's what I did. So I started finding odd things to sell. I discovered eBay. I started selling some stuff on eBay. And as the eBay revenues picked up, my friends and family noticed that I was doing something, positive. So they started watching me. And then as my revenues or my profits on eBay started making more than my sub route, I would drop that. Then I would drop the cigar thing, and it eventually left me full time on eBay. At that point, my friends and family wanted to invest in me. I think it's important that particular part is important, that it was an investment and they expected to be paid back. Had it been a gift, I think I wouldn't be here right now, because I could have just walked away. But from being in a low point to having people want to invest in me and it being validated and calling me things like entrepreneur, I think it was the first time I ever heard it. They pulled together $81,000 to invest in my business. It's a lot of money. It's more than I thought I would ever see in my entire life. And I immediately got this money and I wanted to invest it in the most profitable product that I had, which at the time was this adult novelty product. It had a motor and a guy slips it on, like, you get it. So I'd get them for like 16 cents. We'd sell them for like 20, 25 bucks. Amazing. Like, you don't see stuff like that anymore. And I just couldn't get enough of them. So this was my grand plan. I'm going to like surpass Bill Gates. And I contact my supplier, who exists to this day, by the way, Elvis, from a factory called Pleasure Chest that focuses on adult novelties. And I told him I wanted to buy $81,000 of these products, including shipping. Said he didn't have that much in stock. I felt betrayed. It didn't dawn on me that it's, for obvious reasons, a factory doesn't have that much stock on hand, and I wanted it now. So Alibaba was totally different back then. It looked nothing like what it looks like now. No, because some people might saying, idiot, why didn't you use escrow and all this stuff? But it didn't exist.
Didn't exist.
Right. It didn't exist. And it was very hard to just find anything on Google about Alibaba.
Yeah.
And so searching around Alibaba, I found a guy who went by the name of Usman Sise and had a factory in Hong Kong that had all of this product in stock. I sent him the money, obviously all of it, because he had all of it in stock ready to ship, and he stole everything from me. Yeah. So devastated. I was accustomed to being broke. I was still peanut butter and jellying it, sort of. And what I wasn't ready to do is let my friends and family know that I could not pay them back. I believe half of them would have felt that I stole it, and the other half would have thought, like, well, we kind of expected that. What did we think? So I immediately went out and started grabbing all of my things to go sell them for some seed capital to start up and somehow make these payments back on this investment without them knowing what had happened. I went to my most expensive possession was a Movado. I thought it would yield me like $1,000, like 85 bucks to 150 bucks, something like that. I was devastated. So I went to go sell two of my snakes, Burmese python, Colombian red-tailed boa. And the person in front of me in line, I'm holding pillowcases. They're in pillowcases. And the person in front of me in line was paying $25 for 50 live worms. And some weird click happened. And I didn't know that that this story would even be one I would not be ashamed to talk about right now. But I leave in a daze. I end up in a public library researching stuff. And what I was looking for was an area, like the type of soil where these kind of worms lived. Nothing to do with breeding, so that I could just dig all day. And I imagined filling a bucket full of worms and selling them. So that's how off I was. Tears in my eyes. That's how off I was on my plan. I find an article by a zoologist talking about how zoos should breed these insects for feed instead of paying top dollar on the private market. Yeah. And when I heard breed, I was like, that makes sense in a way. Like, and all I have to do is to manage this is feed them and they mate. And there ends up being a lot more to it than that. But I run around garage sales paying pennies on the dollar for a bunch of bins, put these in bins, and I'm storing them in my house. Insects smell really bad. Ex-girlfriend had enough at this point, gone. And I continue breeding these and selling them on live insects on eBay and Amazon for close to a year.
Yeah.
At this point, code enforcement knocks on my door, middle of the night. Anyone that knows code enforcement, if they're at your door at night, outside of a 9 to 5, a lot has gone wrong.
Yeah.
And I bluffed them saying that it would be an agricultural disaster if I threw all these insects out. To put in perspective, I was at about 3.5 million crickets in the house at that point, 3.5 million roaches, feeder worms, super worms, all of this stuff. And they gave me till the next day. I find a friend that allows me to get rent free in his warehouse for what wound up being 6 months. And then he just realized that he can't use the other half of the warehouse, knowing that the other half was full of insects. And I wound up getting the whole thing. I'm pretty much living in this warehouse at this point on the floor of the office. I had a bed, but it was just working so hard. If I didn't package these live insects quick enough, I would lose money. I'd lose sales. It would hurt my metrics. And I didn't want to waste time driving back and forth from work to home to the office. Fast forward about another year, actually shy of a year, and I'm approached and somebody purchased my company for $2.6 million. It wound up being a bad deal. It was the best. I have no regrets. It was the best deal and the best thing to happen to me at that time.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know now, they got over like fat rats. I immediately, with no cash flow skills, no anything, just started, whoring around Miami. I assumed that this was enough money for me to live whatever lifestyle I wanted every day for the rest of my life. No money concerns at all. That's not the case. And I got to a point where I realized, at this point next year, I'll be broke. And the only thing I had done successfully that I'd been validated in was Amazon. So I started a beverage chilling brand, and I haven't looked back.
Wow. What year was that time frame? Just out of curiosity.
2007.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, late 2007, very early 2008.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, but it sounded like you kind of answered it, unless there's a different one. I was going to ask you if you ever sold a business that you kind of wish you kept. Is that the one, or has there been others that you wish you held on to?
No, I'm very weird in that regard. I guess I'm not business savvy, where everyone says, you start a business, you need to start with the exit in mind. And that's probably good information.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I don't know how to start a business that way. I start heavily invested emotionally, heavily imagining my great grandkids working in the family business and they're proud of it. And I think that for me, that's what I need to do to invest, to be fully invested. So when I get to a point where somebody comes up to me and makes an offer on the business, and I realize I have all these other amazing ideas I can't get to because you only have so much bandwidth, that little piece of doubt creeps in. And then I start losing that emotional investment. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to sell this because I'm more excited or more emotionally invested in this other idea that's been percolating for a while. So once I lose that emotional investment there, I have no regrets. So I don't regret the sales. I can say that first one though, was not a good deal.
It was good at the time, and that's what counts, right? Yeah. So let's also jump into and talk about Wizards of Amazon meetup group. Tell everybody a little bit. I mean, this is, I personally know, because we had to start, basically had to take over the meetup group in the Bay Area and the Silicon Valley here. And it's not easy to run. It takes a lot of work. And Carlos is currently running the world's largest Amazon meetup group in Florida. And tell us about the group, what kind of people, how many people are you getting there? Are you getting mainly people that want to sell, or let's say selling less than a year or more advanced? Tell us about your group.
Yeah, very proud of the group. The only vanity number I've ever followed in my life is the largest Amazon seller meetup in the world number.
Yeah.
We were neck and neck with the amazing group, Amazon meetup group in the UK for a little while. But now I think we're like 1,000 members past it. Like we're growing at, I think, 9 new members a day. But yeah, we're based in South Florida. We have 18 events per month. So we we also have, of those 18, getting these numbers right, we have 5 of them which are Spanish. So they're in Spanish, 100%. And then we have 13 other ones that are in English. They're, let me get this word right. I want to say it, otherwise I go down this rabbit hole. They are predominantly workshops or topics of the week with a specific speaker. People know the theme when they're going in. The Saturday events begin with a beginner hour. All of the events are recorded. So we have that on meetupeventrecordings.com, and that's been a great way to kind of offset a lot of what goes in on the back end. I mean, have a VA team and everything to pull off that many events. I think for $20 a month, people get access to all of the events. The types of sellers that are there are all of them. Like this Saturday, we have an event, which is not the norm, but this Saturday we have an event, which is how to use ghostwriters and make money via royalties with Amazon self-publishing. Last week we had a merch by Amazon event. The vast majority, I would say, are private label focused. And we do have a smattering of wholesale and arbitrage. We have 2 events per month, which are only for sellers that are $100,000 in sales a month or higher. So we have a lot of advanced members as well. Yeah. We also have people in there that are asking, what is FBA? So it's, from A to Z is what's there. It's been absolutely amazing. And we cover all topics. That's great. And now with everything going on, you have it on Zoom too, correct? Yeah. So no matter if you're listening to this and you want to be part of a meetup group or want to learn more about it without having to physically go anywhere, because we're all still pretty much sitting at home right now, definitely take a look at Wizards of Amazon, meetup.com, or right? The easiest way to find it. Yeah. If you want, let me see, what would be the single easiest way to get it? Well, the easiest way for everybody listening is look in the description. I'll put a link, but tell everybody how. Also, we also have a chat group on Telegram. Yeah. All this is 100% free, but you can go to AmazonGroupChat.com, and that's going to give you instructions on how to get in our Telegram group chat. And there you can just say, "What's the link to the meetup?" You'll see it because there's 18 events per month, so they're constantly, the links to join them are always there. Each event we have anywhere from, on Zoom it's a little trickier, but in the live events, we have, say, between 60 and 120 people per event, depending on the topic. Yeah. And we have, it's not just the big number of people in the meetup group. We have a little over 2,000 active members. Yep. So local active 2,000 and that many people per event. It's a lot of people. Yeah, absolutely. So anybody listening, Carlos Alvarez, please tell us how are the different ways they can get a hold of you. And also mention, let's see, your Facebook group, make sure to re-mention the meetup group. You got so many things going on right now. And I think I'm on all of them because every time I turn around, I'm getting either a message or an email or something on my phone's going off that Carlos is having an event. But tell everybody all the different ways and what you have going. Yeah, the easiest one that most people never use is just text me, 305-902-1283. People are shocked that I give my number. That's my number, but people never use it. So you could text me and ask me anything and I'll answer it. I'm very active on Instagram at Wizards of Amazon, and the Telegram chat group I'm always in. Yep. And that's AmazonGroupChat.com. The Facebook group's Wizards of Amazon. Can I mention the podcast? Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love some feedback and some ears over on my podcast at Wizards of Amazon Podcast. And if you're a reader, reading's had a huge impact on my life. I have the Entrepreneurs Book Club. We read 1 book per month. This is all free, by the way. Yep. And then we discuss it at the end of the month. I think that's the best way. Again, I will make sure that all of those things that you mentioned are in the descriptions, not only for the podcast, but the YouTube channel that we have. And Carlos, thank you again for being on the EcomWhiz podcast. I really appreciate it.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and for more information, please visit FeedbackWhiz.com.